Hey there, welcome to the first video of Tumba Productions. My name is Kthor, but you can call me K. Today, I'll tell you the story behind Nishel dhor nakha puja. Nishel dhor is located at the edge of Dhor Hunting Reserve, and it is only 15 kilometers away from commercial Dhor. There are some videos of it, but in all of them the story is incomplete. The only thing they focus on now is the bridge jumping and made up stories the villagers tell. But to actually understand this, we have to go much deeper. And today I'll be telling you the full story behind Nishel dhor nakha puja. Before the story begins, any of you can join me next year as well. I'll leave all my socials in the description so you can DM me for more information. Nishel dhor isn't that far from my village Nisi. You can go by car up to Pathihalne, and from there it is about 5 hours of walking. Before we start the story, I want to clear some things up. What people say now is that we are the original civilization in Nishel dhor and nobody else used to live here. But that is not true. The original civilization is believed to be the mawors. When other people came, the mawors hid until the warriors left. But then the second civilization came and they didn't leave. So the mawors left their paintings as a sign before leaving. The second civilization lived there for many years until one day they got engulfed in a landslide, leaving no trace. Then finally, people from Nisi migrated to Dhor, but since it was basically a whole community that had died there, it was said to be haunted. It's only been 30 years since people started to live there year-round. Before that, people from Nisi only stayed in Dhor for 3 months to farm. After 3 months, people would go back to Nisi for 9 months, and in those 9 months, Nishel dhor would be a ghost town. Nobody in sight. Now, there are about 40 houses. The people that stay there get a portable solar panel to charge their phones and lights. So no, we are not the original civilizations of Nishel dhor. But I can tell you that story as well in the next video. Around a couple of thousand years ago, people in Nishel dhor believed in a myth. This belief was so strong, people would flee the village in panic. The myth went, if you did not leave village before winter, you would be killed by spirits, and they would feast upon your flesh and bones, leaving no trace behind. They believed this because the people that had stayed before went missing, never to be seen again. And that day was the same. All the villagers had packed up and left, except for one family. Their son hadn't arrived and they couldn't pack up alone. Both parents were old and frail, so they couldn't pack up even if they wanted to. When their son finally arrived, he rushed to pack up all the valuables they had. After they were finally ready to leave, he realized it was almost night and he didn't have much time left. So he had to make a tough decision: stay with them and suffer the same fate, or leave them behind, saving himself. There was no way they all would make it together. His parents were too old to walk. They needed assistance. So after thinking for a while, he made a choice. He decided to leave them in a cave with food and water, blocking the entrance and hoping they would survive. He rushed to leave the village in panic, not even looking behind once. After he reached Nisi, the other villagers questioned him. "Where are your parents?" they asked. "I left them in a cave and sealed the entrance," he replied. "In that case, then your parents are already dead." The boy knew they were right, but somewhere inside his head, he still had hope. After a couple of months, the boy went back. He opened the cave to see if his parents had survived, and finally, after opening the entrance, he peeped inside and his heart sank. There was no sight of his parents. They had disappeared without a trace, and all the proof that he had left his parents in there was a half-eaten roti. After that day, The spirits of his parents cursed Nishel dhor. Crops would wither, livestock would die, and people would fall seriously ill and eventually pass away. After many years and countless deaths, the villagers brought a witch doctor known as a jhagri to understand what was happening in their village and why they were cursed. The jhagri mumbled spells under his breath as he beat his dagro in a rhythm. Many hours later, the spirits finally revealed themselves, and the jhagri asked, "Who are you two? And why are you terrorizing this village?" They gave a slow reply. "We are Juza and Juzi, and we are very unhappy." The jhagri thinked for a second. "So what do you want?" "We are very hungry and we want food," they replied. "Will a sacrifice be enough to satisfy your hunger?" said the jhagri. "Yes, but you will have to capture us every 2 years before the sacrifice, and this year is no different," they replied. As the jhagri was processing this information, the pair darted out, hiding in different houses. The jhagri couldn't capture them alone, so he decided to bless all the villagers with his powers to help him capture them, and this was when the kafai was born. As soon as the villagers were blessed, all of them went into a rampage, making noises, running around the village, hitting houses with branches and sticks. This would scare the spirits into switching houses, and every time they tried to hide, the kafai would always find them. After they went through every house, the spirits stood next to the river, accepting that they had been caught. "You have caught us, and we will leave your village for now. We will be back in 2 years," they hissed. The jhagri would end the ceremony by sacrificing a goat. The spirits would take the sacrifice and the village would be peaceful again. But the kafais were still in their trance. To turn them back to normal, the jhagri ordered all the kafai to jump into the river, and when they cross it, their souls would be cleansed, turning them back to normal. The first thing I would like to get into is the different kafais we have. This event only happens one time every 2 years, so people usually skip this information. There are 2 types of kafais, real kafais and chor kafais. And no, we did not make chor kafais to separate dalits like some of you ignorant people think. But it's been in our culture for years. Chor kafai was there from the start because the real kafais were only a small group of people. Only Pun, Garti, Buddha and Roka mawors were originally eligible for becoming a kafai. And there were other factors like if you sinned, thus being a chor kafai and getting beaten by the real ones. The main difference is the real kafais get ready in the cave and the chor kafais would get ready anywhere. The chor kafais would join the real ones when they first heard the whistle the jhagri blows. And the second when they saw a group of kafais running, they would rush in between to join. The real kafais wouldn't mind them joining at first, but while wandering the village, if the real kafais saw a chor kafai, they would get beaten for stealing food. Now food used to be a big part of this culture, and it was only meant for the real kafais that would scare away juza and juzi. So it was basically stolen valor. And the bad part for the chor kafais is all the real kafais knew each other, so to keep stealing food, they had to be cautious. And the other thing is in the final dance where all the kafais gathered in a circle, only the real kafais would be presented. The chor kafais would keep going into houses to steal food. And one final thing is, the chor kafais wouldn't jump from the bridge. They would clean themselves anywhere. Originally, the villagers would sit on the roof of the house to signal that their house hadn't been visited. The kafais would see them on the roof and enter. After they scared away the spirits, the villagers would finally climb down. The thing is, people say now we wear those leaves and paint just for that day, but this story takes part in a time where all Nishel people dressed like that. So before Prithvi Narayan Shah united Nepal into one, before he helped our village, we would wear minimal clothes. And at the time the story takes place, all of Nishel would just wear leaves and tree barks. So after Prithvi Narayan Shah made Nepal into one, he sent people who made clothes and tools to help develop our village. They started to make houses as well, and since they heard about the ghosts and spirits, they were scared as well. And the mawors wouldn't enter their houses so they had to make their own kafais and jhagris. And to pay respect to the land, the original dalit jhagris said it themselves that they wouldn't go into the cave or near it. And it's kind of the same with the female jhagris. Yes, they exist and there are a lot of them. Originally, even the female jhagris made a promise themselves that they wouldn't disrespect the land and they would only stay in the perimeters of the school for their own safety. And I have proof because the first ever female jhagri that actually got to join the male jhagris in this 2-year event was because of my father, and he wants all of you to know it as well. The photos I showed in the beginning aren't from random areas. Those are our photos. The first photos are from my generation of kafais. The second was of my father's. And the third is of my grandfather's. The first thing you notice in my generation is people are using paint, masks, and you can even see me wearing a wife beater. Originally, we are only allowed to use crushed up charcoal for black and limestone powder for white, and no clothes are allowed, not even shoes. The jhagris would bless the ash and limestone before passing it to the kafais. But this change happens because we are not fighting ghosts nowadays. We are just having fun. And we are celebrating that we don't have to fight anymore and we can be more free and open-minded. So the stuff that kafais do today, we do not mean harm. It's just for fun. We actually don't mind who joins us because to develop, we have to move forward. And in the future, we believe even tourists can be jhagris. But the catch is, you would have to live like a jhagri. You can't just say you're a jhagri and live your usual life. You would have to go to the jungle, know about all the herbs, make your own instruments, and there are tons of things you have to complete before even thinking you're a jhagri. We don't mind the dalit and female jhagris because they actually put in the work, unlike some keyboard warriors. Back then when the ceremony ended, it only had dhori competition. But now it has different sports like football, shot put, and volleyball. So yeah, if you would like to join me next time this event happens, my socials are in the description. I know this was pretty heavy for a first video, but if you want me to stay here, leave your comments on what I can do next.